So I was just having a sip of coffee. I'm just waiting for my breakfast. I've been up about an hour. So I've been thinking about how over the last few weeks, every time they switch my phone off, something huge happens in my life. I uncover something I've been holding back. It's like, how do I explain it? I'm trying not to burp. I'm so sorry. It's embarrassing when I pass gas on, when I burp in that on these lives. But I'm always drinking beforehand and during. But it's like more of me unfolds every time it happens. Every time it happens, I grow in strength, like in Crackdown, if you know the game Crackdown. When you're collecting all the blues and greens, when you get 100 and like your skill level in like driving and running and jumping and all of that, when you get 100 you power up and you literally see him go from being a normal sized man to being epic. Crackdown, as I was saying, talking with my son the other day, is one of my all-time favourite games. I love it so much. And every time they switch my phone off, and this has been over the last few weeks, see, when it started last year, it just got really annoying because it was like every 15 minutes, every half an hour, my phone would switch off. And then after about 6 or 7 months, oh no, after about 5 months, I learned how to override it. But then this year, as I became more determined to double down and not prove myself, but fight for justice, like really, like, you're not taking this from me. You're not taking everything I built. You're not taking what I am. You're not taking it from me anymore. You've taken from me for so many years and I've said nothing, and now I'm not taking it anymore. By stepping into that mindset, by stepping into that power, it taught me how to instantly transmute energy. And in doing so, every time they do it now, I just power up. And it's not because of like I'm going to show you. It's almost like a lesson to them. You're not the one that has the power. I have the power. And in doing so, I'm showing you where my power lay, and it's supernatural. So that's why every time they switch my phone off, I then power up and uncover something else that pulls the veil back, that points the finger right at them. And it's gotten to the point now where I'm unlocking dark matter in the conscious universe so that I can throw them in it. So I've been sitting here thinking, there has to be a scientific explanation for it. It can't just be about being able to transmute energy. And I just put up that post. We're talking about, the things women have to go through, narcissistic abuse, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, but look what it turned me into. And having to fight for my freedom and having to fight for my right to stand as an individual and be independent, I had to go through that because my abuse, my domestic abuse and what I went through with my husbands, with my friends, family, blah, 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 all of it, because it's all a form of domestic abuse. If you have these people in your home and in your heart, it's domestic abuse. And I had suffered a lot. I had to hold myself responsible for it as well. Remember yesterday when I was talking about how, I had to sit in purgatory because I did, I wasn't perfect. I wasn't innocent in all of this. You're not innocent in this if you're a victim. You allowed it to happen. You made bad choices in picking the wrong partners. You made bad choices in how you went about the process of figuring out that these weren't friends and that you need to avoid your family, and you prolonged your own suffering by not doing the right thing for yourself or your children the first time the red flags went up. Hang on, I'm just having a sip. You know, when I was teaching that class yesterday, kiddies, about quantum magnetics and every action has an equal and opposite reaction, the theory of relativity. It's all relative, it really is. The hardships and turmoils and troubles that you have in your life, it's all relative to the choices you made and the choices you allowed other people to make for you, which is really hard if you're a child, because your parents and your society and your schools are the ones who force all their choices and decisions on you, which isn't fair. And the one thing that I did get right with my sons is that I let them think for themselves and express themselves freely and openly. I never censored them. I never hindered whatever they were into, whatever they wanted to learn, whatever they got into as fads or interests in that. I backed them 100%, because it was teaching them to find themselves and figure out who they were independently of me forcing it on them. I never ever wanted to be one of these parents that forced their expectations on their children. I just didn't want my kids to join the military or the police force, because that's my background, you know, being an army brat and that, and joining the military is my worst nightmare. Or the police force, because I don't want to, I will never sleep. It's not that I wouldn't be proud of them and won't support them, but as someone who's lived the military life, it's for the one who's left behind, it's torture. And these are my babies. And I just want my babies to live in a world where they get to do what they love, which is why I've been fighting so hard, you know, for my independence and that, because they tried to take it from me. My abusers, they tried to take my independence. They tried to steal my identity. They tried to steal my ideas and my spark of creation. They tried to blow my light out. They tried to extinguish my flame, my spark that was the core of my soul, that was everything I am. They tried to extinguish it, and I had to fight to keep my light shining. And in doing so, that little light of mine, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, that one, became atomic. It became an atomic force. And now I transmute it. You know, like superheroes when their hands power up, or like what was his name? God, I can't remember. Is it Cyclops? My brain. And X-Men and that, you know, and like Magneto, how they power up and they can shoot energy from their body, turn it into like forces of nature. That's what it turned me into. You know, like I can say, oh, I'm the quantum menace and I'm the time jumper and that, but there's more to the quantum menace's superpowers than just being able to time jump, which I don't care what anyone says. Time jumping is a form of invisibility. I always wanted invisibility to be my superpower. How I created the quantum menace was because many years ago, my ex and I were having a conversation, and he said to me, if you could be a superhero, what would your superpower be? I can't remember whether he gave me a choice, but I thought about it and I said I want it to be invisibility, because then I could sneak up on bad guys in there and deal to them when I see them committing crimes and stuff. They wouldn't see me coming. And through that conversation, I thought, well, who would my superhero be? And that's when I started creating the whole quantum menace character. And then after, you know, my boys got older and started getting into the whole superhero thing and, you know, Doctor Who and all that, we talked and I started adding meat to the bones of my Quantum Menace character and started bringing in the Mutant Legion. I was even in my original Twitter account, Ascending Scorpio, I was even followed by a writer who wrote for DC Comics and Marvel. For the movies, he lived in Hollywood. Can't remember his name. But I was gaining attention and they tried to take it from me. They tried to make themselves the heroes. But all they did was end up making themselves the shadow folk in my comic book adventure. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. I know that these people were brought into my life to test me, to help me uncover who I really was because it was hiding under a rock. They, you know, so much concrete had been poured over the little sprout of life that I was, that and having to defend myself and fight for my children and fight for my rights and blah blah blah, it chipped away at the concrete. You know, I was talking about the mirror of liminality and how, you know, the pinball effect, like a shell smashing against a rock. Well, their shell, by me using my abilities to smash them against the rock or against the concrete, it started chipping away at the concrete and revealing who I was underneath. And who I was underneath ended up being, even though it was a little sprout, it became the tree of life, or the grandmother tree rather. And that grandmother tree has grown so much from that little sprout that it's almost a tree that's not even, it's like a cosmic tree. Not the tree of life, the tree of consciousness. And, you know, like the synapses of the brain, my central nervous system, it looks exactly the same as the neurons in your brain and the synapses firing up, you know, with those little lights in that thumbnail from the Theory of Relativity thumbnail and all of that. It's like I tuned into something bigger than this planet energetically, because every time they test me, I power up. But I've powered up to the point now where I'm plugged into the universe. I don't even have to try. I just think it now and boom, it happens. I just write it and boom, it happens. But the test isn't over because I don't have justice yet. So there's obviously still more I've got to grow into, but it's been enough that it helped me break free from the concrete. When I first started figuring out that quantum magnetics was what I was stepping into when I was a teacher teaching the students, and when I left Chris and was with Martin and blah blah blah, when I started figuring it all out, I had no idea that it was going to turn into something this big in order to fight the dark side to help save humanity. And I know that sounds ridiculous. It sounds like a comic book, right? Which is why I turned it into a comic book. Because it does sound like a superhero story. It does sound like a comic book superhero. But the reason why I've put it all out there, even at risk to my life, is to prove to everyone that it is 100% real. That quantum magnetics is 100% a real supernatural physics. And when I first started and I was practicing and learning and testing myself and putting it all out there, it could take a couple of years for the stuff that I was seeing to happen in real life. And now, over the last 12 months, it's hours, sometimes not even an hour. And the more powerful the vision, the longer it takes to manifest, but at most, it's not even a week. The bigger the jump, the bigger the vision, the longer it takes to manifest, but it's only not even a week, a couple of days, a few days. Whereas before, it was a few years. So, because I had tricksters and I made the right decisions in how I handled it and how I treated it and how I dealt with it, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. I powered up. I became stronger. I thought faster. I connected to the conscious universe faster, like immediately, like fibre optic broadband. Boom, done, connected. Then I'm connected to the memories of everyone and everything. I'm connected to the fabric of the timeline of everyone and everything in the universe, like fibre optic broadband, just instantly now, because they taught me how to think fast. And by thinking fast, like thinking fast in order to control my reactions, like doing imagine like a beam of light traveling at the speed of light and then doing a complete 180 on the turn of a dime. Like, boom, done. Travel, 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 boom, done. Ba-da-da-da-da-da, boom, done. Like that sort of thing. And having to be ready for the reaction, preempting, but being ready and prepared for the reaction before it happens. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And in doing that, it made me think faster and act faster and prepare faster. And doing that and making all the right decisions, nothing has become a roadblock for me. I smashed through it. Whereas like before I didn't say anything and I kept quiet, and like now it's just like it's not even a barrier. I just smash through it. I'm trying to think, oh God, this is where I get annoyed. Tron. Remember Tron? Like, remember how fast he moved? The light, vroom, and he vroom, and he and vroom, like that. That's the synapses of my brain firing up. How are you going to deal with it? How are you going to react? And it taught me to transmute my energy. And I'm finding it fascinating. So now when they switch my phone off, I get excited because I think what's going to happen next, because more gets uncovered and then I power up even more. And it's like, what more can I be at this point? Because, not to toot my own horn, but what I've become from a supernatural physics level, can I become more than being able to tap into the mind of God, the mind of the universe? Call it God, call it the atom, call it the universe, call it whatever you want. But I can tap into it like lightning now, at the speed of light, boom, done. And it's all because I learned how to transmute energy in dealing with the people who keep trying to pour concrete on me because they don't want people seeing this little light of mine. Because, like my candles, my candle company, the Beacon of Light Candle Company, my son gave me that name for my candles. He said, call it the Beacon of Light Candle Company because you're a beacon of light to people. That was my youngest that named that company. My supernatural candles and all that, which will be mentioned in quite a few of my movies, definitely some of my TV shows, and the first sign, because the Alchemist Cavern, the store, is going to be part of the movie. because the first sign, you know, Miss Amber, her store is one of the reasons why Abizu is and the deceivers are trying to shut her down, because they know that her power and her magic that she's selling in her little Victorian store is more powerful on earth than anything that the dark side can conjure. So obviously Abizu is the one that they will fight, but there's going to be like a antagonist who is earth-based, who works on Abizu's behalf, as well as the deceivers. So my real store will be in the real movie, and my real products will be in the real movie, so that people who watch it know, you know, like with the Harry Potter shop in real life, they can go to my shop and buy my real candles, and they'll do really what my candles say. So, and they didn't want me doing that, which is why Chris stole my stuff and put it on eBay and that, because they didn't want me helping people. They wanted to be in control of people and make money from controlling people. But they got it wrong. They got it really wrong. They didn't know what they were doing. Like when he stole my honey of Isis oil, he sold it as pagan ritual oils. So he took funerary oil, an oil that is for the dying and the dead and the people fighting for their life, and he turned it into ritual oils, pagan ritual oils, and gave them the names that I gave them and all that sort of thing, to control how people's spiritual development evolved. They wanted control over who people became. And so I had to decide how to handle all of that. And in turn, I became a bad mamma jamma, quite frankly, because I only just have to think it now, and it happens. I just have to say it, and it happens. Nobody thought I was ever going to be able to defeat somebody like Donald Trump or Elon Musk or Christopher Black or Keir Starmer. Nobody thought I would ever be able to teach them a lesson in how you don't fight God. And yet look what's happening to them. They're becoming the most despised people in the world. They've become a laughing stock. Nobody has respect for these, I would say men, but that's subjective. Nobody has respect for them anymore. They're losing their credibility as human beings. When I could have done worse, I chose not to. Because even as a karmic judge, I hold a lot of power over the outcome of what happens to a person, but I chose justice. I want justice. My boys and I talked about it when I was locked up. Justice. I want legal justice. I could do very bad things. I could do things with their electrical equipment or their vehicles, but I didn't, because I stepped into myself and I thought the only thing I want is justice. That's all I want. That's all I've asked for. Of all the things I could have manifested for myself, of all the things that I could have done to them, all I asked for was justice, because justice is based on truth. And if I'm a superhero in a comic book, I want kids to know, who are going to buy my toys and play my video games and read my comic books and all of that, that justice never lies and that justice prevails. Justice will always win over injustice. You just have to believe you're going to get it and never give up. And that's what helped me break through the cement. I never gave up. I got up every day. And no matter what they hammered at me, I just used it to chip away at the concrete they poured on my head. However, like I said the other day, yesterday, being under that concrete, I had to take a good, long, hard look at myself. Okay, so when you're set free, are you going to make the same mistakes you made? Are you going to be that person you used to be? Because I was by no means perfect. I was morbidly obese. I was downing painkillers and all that to deal with stomach pain, back pain, because, I mean, now I know it, and fibromyalgia, now I know it was because of the narcissistic abuse and that, but I could have made better choices. I could have made healthier choices. It shouldn't have taken for my 6-year-old son to come in and say, Mama, I know what I want to be when I grow up, a surgeon so that I can fix your tummy so that you can come and play in the park with me and my brother. That wake-up call. It shouldn't have taken for my baby to say that in order for me to get my ass off the bed and fight for my life. But I'm not the one who hands out my lessons. That's up to God and my ancestors, the Council of Elders. They're the ones who decide what lessons to put in your path in order to teach you. And how fast you learn is all dependent on the choices you make. And for 22, well, no, actually not even 22, for 40-something years I wasn't learning my lesson. I wasn't listening. I was being around people who really I should never have had anywhere near my children, or that I should have, avoided having contact with years ago, including members of my own family, because these were not people that cared about me or my sons. And yet I put up with it, and 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 I've only got myself to blame for that. So when you transmute energy in order to power up, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. What they do to you, what they say to you, what is done to you, and the outcome of it all depends on what you decide to do next. How are you going to deal with it? Are you going to cry and be sad and curl up in a ball on your bed and listen to sad songs and not eat and, take drugs or drink or harm yourself or be angry at people or fight innocent people or lie and slander and gossip and, be toxic? Because there's varying levels. How you react to it does depend on the strength of your mental health. And one of the things I learned when I was locked up is that there were a couple of women in there who basically, to be quite brutally honest, needed a smack bottom when they were kids. They were only in there for packing tantrums because they weren't getting their own way. Not that they weren't being listened to, because there were plenty of women in there who weren't being listened to, who, when I gave them a voice, they were able to go off medication. They were able to be let out because I sat and listened to them. But there were women in there who were only in there because they needed to be the centre of attention. They weren't the centre of attention, so they were packing tantrums. So I learned a lot. And what I learned is one of them wrapped a phone cord around her neck. One of them kept cutting herself up. So whatever is thrown at you, whatever someone says, if they have access to your mind, if they have access to your emotions, if they're trying to push your buttons, who you become as a result of it is squarely on you. And you have to be the one to take responsibility for it. Oh, I did this because so-and-so did this. I only did it because he left or she did this or, blah, blah, blah. Then that takes you down a dark path. But, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. The equalizer lays in what you decide to do with what was done to you. How you decide to react with what was done to you. Are you going to hold on to it? Are you going to let it consume you? Are you going to let it eat your emotions and affect your mental health? Or are you going to stand back up, brush yourself off, know that the problem is squarely with them, and that they're just projecting because they're jealous, they're envious, they have low self-esteem, they're projecting all their unhealed childhood traumas and abuses on you? Are you going to take it? Are you going to absorb it and soak it up like a sponge, soaking up blood and mud? Or are you going to pick yourself up, wash yourself off, put up a shield, and keep moving forward? The Archimedes bow. Because you can put a shield up. It's called your biorhythmic parameter. My candles help you do it. My tane clay helps you do it. My spray helps you do it. But it is possible to put up an energetic force field around yourself for real, in real life, using real science. I call it biorhythmic engineering. The laws of induction. You can change the course of the currency of the flow of electricity just by removing all and every magnetic force put inside the gravity of every situation. And your brain and your central nervous system and your neurons and the synapses of your brain all fire up based on your energetic rhythm. Your brain is an engine. So what direction do you want to go in? Do you want to evolve and move at the speed of light when it comes to making decisions, so that you become such a energetic force of nature that you can just smash through all and every barrier that they put in front of you because they think they have that power and control over you? Or are you going to let it collapse on you and smash you and crush you and hold you down and pull you back? Because you can't evolve when gravity and magnetism are the leading forces, are the leading driving forces in all and every action and decision you make. While you are still living and breathing, you have the power to change your atomic structure based on the input and output frequencies, the input-output phases. And by me figuring all that out, I now feel like I'm standing in the universe, looking down at Earth, and it's like the size of an atom. It's minuscule. That's how strong I feel. That's how energetically powerful I feel. I am the universe I created. And so when they switch my phone off now, instead of being worried and trying to find out where, what, who, why, blah, 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 I get excited because I think it's like a power-up. It's like they're plugging me in. I just see it now as every time my phone goes into emergency calls only, it's plugging me into the wall and switching me on to power me up again. And then I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to become next? Because like every time it happens now, something huge happens. Something monumental happens out in the world because of it. So it's like every action has an equal and opposite, right? It's the equalizer is in how I choose to deal with it. But the action of them switching off my phone, the opposite reaction is they want to have the power and control over me, but the opposite reaction is I become more in control and more powerful. Do you see? So I became a strongman, which is funny because I had a great-grandfather, an Irish grandpappy, who was a strongman in the circus. And if you remember my video that I made, I want to have a freak show circus at the foundation where we put on the circus and have like a restaurant that's like burgers and hot dogs and like dirty fries and pints of beer and all that sort of thing, but where it's got memorabilia from freak shows and circuses and that, you know, throughout history, and in order to honour my grandpappy. He was a strong man in the circus, so I must have gotten it from him. And when I get out of here and I get my radio shows and I have my outlet, like I said, when I get my podium, when I get my microphone, when I get my outlet at the foundation, I'm going to take what I know and use it to show you how to do the exact same thing, especially children, because children are still under the control of their parents and their schools and their therapists and their society and their neighbours and that. So I'm going to show children how to survive what I was put through as a kid, so that by the time they are adults, they don't have to go through what I went through as an adult, because they'll learn to make better choices about the friends they have, the boyfriends and girlfriends they have, you know, how they deal with the abuse at home or at the school, the neglect, the abandonment, whatever. I'll show them how to do it. I'll show them how to protect themselves and arm themselves and heal from it. Adults as well, obviously, but my focus is on children. Most adults don't want to learn how to fix themselves. They want other people to do it, which is why there's too many people out there only too happy to line up with their hand out to take that medication. Because the one thing that governments don't want you doing is thinking for yourself, i.e. why AI is such a big thing. Here, let us do all the thinking for you. And AI psychopathy is making people, they're forgetting how to read and write. They're forgetting how to think for themselves. So, you know, I've been watching restoration videos. I'm going to have a woodwork shop and I want to employ some woodwork teachers that know how to restore furniture and that, because I want to restore furniture for like my businesses. I know what I want my fashion house, you know, my little boutique to look like. I know what I want the Alchemist Cavern to look like, the Alchemist Tavern, all of it. And a lot of it means having to restore furniture. And so I've been sitting here thinking, like, I need to, looking at the guys' tools and that, get these kids in and they can quiet their mind if they've had an argument with their parent on the phone, or they're dealing with a broken heart because they broke up with their girlfriend or whatever. They can sit in my woodwork shop and help my teachers restore furniture. I want to bring back traditional skills, blacksmithing, because I'm going to have horses, so we'll need horseshoes. Plus there's a whole occult thing based around horseshoes. But I'm going to have plenty of outlets for these kids to come and quiet their mind and learn to transmute energy with mentors in place who will be the perfect guides for them. You know, my mother, she used to say, it's not my place to tell you what to do. You're old enough to make your own mistakes in life. But if you make a decision that goes wrong, you have to be the one to deal with the consequences of them. But if you ever need help or advice, your father and I will always be there for you. And that's been my ethos as a mum. My boys know, and it's the same thing in life. You're old enough to know the difference between right and wrong. And if you make a bad decision, regardless of what it is or who it involves, if you make the mistake, you have to be the one to fix it. It's not up to anyone else to fix your mistakes. But if you need advice and guidance on how to fix it, this is where we are. But know that you're not going through it alone. You will never go through it alone. But you have to be the one to make the decision to say, can I talk to you? I need help. Can you help me? I need advice. Or something as simple as coming in for a hug. My mentors, whether it's a woodwork teacher, my mechanic, my baker, the people that run my stores, my fashion designers, and the ones that work in the design department, anyone that works in my games and TV industry or whatever, every single member of my staff will know that if one of my kids, even one of their fellow team members, we never turn away a hug. When someone comes in for a hug, it's a cry for help. So give them a hug. We don't turn away hugs. We will never ever turn away hugs. That's what I raised my boys. We never turn away hugs. There were so many times when my boys went to hug their father and he wouldn't hug them, and I'd say, I'll take it. I never turn away a free hug. So my whole goal out of all of this, through everything I was put through and everything I've survived since the second I was conceived, right? Because I've had to deal with a lot, including trying not to be kidnapped by a pedophile. I've survived a lot, but I learned a lot. And everything I've learned, I can now teach to everybody else, because there are too many people out there, children especially, who don't have the right guidance. They're getting the wrong answers off the internet. They're getting the wrong answers off their peer group. They're getting the wrong answers off their parents and teachers and that, because it's all about people controlling the outcome instead of containing the situation. They need to tear the walls down and let the child, or let the person think freely and feel freely without the constraints. Oh, you're being too emotional. Why do you cry all the time? What are you getting angry for? God, you're always locked in your room. You never want to do anything. You never want to go anywhere. That's because they're trapped and contained. But if they're in an environment where they're free to cry, and they have a healthy way to express their frustration and anger without it being destructive and more constructive, if they have someone they can sit with quietly under a tree and say nothing at all, or just sit under that tree and have a cuddle or have a cry, it sets their souls free, because they're no longer imprisoned by the people who are trying to control their thoughts and feelings and emotions. And that's where Faea comes in. And I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't have created everything I have. I wouldn't know what I know. I wouldn't be able to do what I do if they hadn't have started coming after me and switching off my phone. Because you have to remember, they were messing with my internet and that long before now. They were doing it at his house too. That night when he poisoned me and that, he was trying to control my Wi-Fi. He was messing with my Wi-Fi then, trying to stop me from uploading the videos. Until again, my son stepped in. Use my phone, he said. And then they started messing with his. And then the day I got locked up, Chris walked in the door and said to them, how's your phone working now? Is it okay? It kept coming up and saying that their memory was full. And then they said after I got locked up, they never had any more issues with their phones. But if it wasn't for my son stepping up, my eldest, I wouldn't have been able to record any of those videos from that night to use as evidence against him. So my firstborn has always been my protector. He said to me many, many times, I have a feeling when I'm older, I'm going to have a fight with that man. He said, because I'm sick of the way he talks to you. He said, I'm sick of the way he treats you. He said, I just got a feeling like I'm going to end up having an altercation with him. When he's like 8 years old, he said this. So my strong man is also my son. He's been my reason for everything. I came to life when I conceived him, and my baby was my cherry on top. They are the reason why I get up every morning and smash down another wall. Because I've been determined to be a good role model for my sons and how to deal with adversity. And that even if you're a big, tough, strong man, you're allowed to have a cry with your mum. That your mum is never going to judge you because you're a man and you need to have a cry. A mother doesn't judge. She teaches and she leads and she protects just as much as a father does. Like a woman born for motherhood is born a tiger. And if you know what tigresses are like with their cubs, they fight to the death. It's one of the reasons why I was also called Mama Bear, because mama bears do the same thing to protect their cubs. They'll stop at nothing. They're vicious. So, at the foundation, I'm going to be mum to the world. I've always been mum and dad. It's coming up to Father's... Oh, is it not Father's Day today? Yeah. Is it not Father's Day today? So happy Father's Day to me, because I'm more of a man than my ex-husband will ever be. Because I'm the one that raised those two incredible kids. They're mine. They're my badge of honour. Thomas and Gabriel are my badge of honour. I gave birth to them. I broke my body to give them life. I almost died bringing them into the world and raising them in it. Raising them in a hellhole. The incredible young men that they turned out to be is all on me. They're the reason why I get up every morning and hold my head up high with pride. I am because of my sons. And when I get out of here and build my foundation, I will be for everybody else. I'll be mum to everyone that comes through that gate. Because that's, yeah, I'm a writer. Yeah, I'm a scientist. Yeah, I'm an inventor. Yeah, I'm a rocket scientist. Yeah, I'm an engineer. Yeah, I'm a fashion designer. Yeah, I'm a cook. Yeah, I'm a this. Yeah, I'm a that. But I was born to be a mum. I always am and always will be a mum. And I made mistakes, but I corrected them. And even my boys said that. So going forward, and now that I'm free from my concrete, now that I'm no longer the sidewalk that everyone walks on and steps on, and I'm free to grow and expand, I can use my cosmic tree to breathe life into everybody else. And I'm ready. I said to my boy the other day, I'm ready now. Like I'm ready. I wasn't ready before, but I'm ready now. But in the meantime, I keep studying why, like, there has to be, I have to find a name for the reason why when they switch off my phone I power up. There needs to be a scientific explanation for it. Because then I can say, oh yeah, no, I just use blah, 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 blah. Oh, it's just called using blah, and it's a scientific term for this, that, so I need to find a name for it. It's not just about transmuting energy and using it to grow and expand and become strong. The visual for it would be like just like crackdown. But there has to be a scientific name for it. I can't be the only one. You know the stories of like mums that when kids have been run over by cars and the mums have had that supernatural strength, that adrenaline rush, that and the cortisol and that, like when adrenaline and cortisol kind of meet, there's a chemical reaction that makes them superhuman, and they'll be able to lift the car to get the kid out from under the car. It's just like that. There has to be a name for it. Strongman syndrome. The strongman effect, maybe I'll call it. I don't know. The strongman effect. And I'll keep it strongman, not strong woman, because strong man. Because it turns women, it gives women the strength of men. It gives women the strength of like 1,000 men, 1,000,000 men. The strongman effect. Is that a thing? I'm going to have to look now because I'm finding it fascinating. So I can't wait till they turn off my phone again, because within minutes now, something else gets unveiled on the news and it's like, oh my God. It's like Thor's hammer coming down and just nailing them harder and harder and harder into the ground, which then cracks the concrete more and more and more, and I get to expand more and more and more. The strongman effect. And then, yeah, I'll get to have my circus, but not with circus animals, unless they're like people's dogs that can do tricks and stuff, but we'll have a circus with clowns and, you know, all the fun stuff without the danger or the animal abuse. And then there'll be like a little restaurant and a gift shop, and the restaurant is just basically going to be big, fat, greasy, dirty cheese and bacon burgers, and, you know, because New Zealand, we know our burgers, man. Big, massive, giant burgers with big bowls of, you know, like chips and wedges and sauces and dips and hot dogs and nachos and grilled cheese sandwiches and all that, so that you got to keep wiping your hands on the paper, on the napkins, and then surrounded by posters and memorabilia from the freak shows and circuses, because we're the Quantum Menace Mutant Legion, and mutants were considered freaks. And a lot of these freaks in the circus had to embody superhuman strength in order to survive the gossip and the ridicule and people staring at them. A lot of them made a ton of money though, but it came at the effect of a lot of them ended up being alcoholics, you know, going to the opium dens and dying young. So we've got to honour our freaks and mutants, and that's exactly what the foundation does. I have a flag that I designed that is literally called the freak flag. So you're not a freak with us, you're a mutant. You're part of the Mutant Legion. You're not a freak, you're not a geek, you're not a nerd, you're not a dork, you're not a weirdo. You're part of the Mutant Legion. You're a band of superheroes just like Marvel, just like DC. So, but the Quantum Menace, TQM Mutant Legion. And it started with me and my boys. The Quantum Menace, The Illusionist, and Meltdown. And we're going to be a comic. We're going to be a kid's video game. I want it to be all bright and shiny and sparkly like, the Lego video games. We already know how we want the game to be, and then eventually it'll be a movie. All because of me surviving what I was put through. So don't be a victim, be a survivor. Don't be a warrior, be a warrior. That's the name I was given by my girls in New Zealand, the Barefoot Warrior. So I'm going to go. I need to, I'm going to go. But I've decided I'm studying this phenomenon. That's my new study, the phenomenon of the strongman effect. So I'm going to call it the strongman effect. It might, I don't know if it's already a thing, I'll look it up, but that's what I'm going to call it for now. So stay tuned and just hang in there, because when I get out of here and I'm able to plant my seeds and spread my my cosmic seed everywhere, so to speak, as the cosmic grandmother tree, I'll give you shelter. I'll show you how to shelter from the rain. I'll show you how to weather all the storms. I'll breathe new life into you. I'll be the oxygen that you need to breathe. Okay, so just give me a minute. I'll speak to you later. Ka kite.